keeping your policies.
Lesson number 9, don't compare. That's the thief of happiness.
The power of experiences.
Lesson number 11, everything is on time.
True happiness lies in hard work.
Lesson number 15, consistency, pivot often.
From my end, the last point is
Hello everyone and welcome back to 50th episode of Wiser Together. Thank you for joining us and being a part of this. We truly appreciate your support. This episode is going to be a different one. We will be reflecting on our journey and sharing with you 50 lessons that we've learned along the way of recording 50 episodes of this podcast. These learnings can be useful for someone who's wanting to start a podcast or can generally be applied to different areas of life as well. I have had my own 25 lessons, and Anas has his own 25 lessons, which I don't know about, and he doesn't know about my lessons. So it'll be interesting to learn about his lessons as well, and vice versa for him. So we'll go one by one. We'll speed run through these. We'll get through 50 lessons in about 50, 60 minutes. So stick around till the end because it gets better and better and better. And if you have any feedback, let us know what you think. We truly would love to hear about your journey as well. Okay, so I'm going to start first, and then Anas will go second, and then we'll keep alternating and get this through to the last one, which is probably the most important one for Anas as well. We did discuss the last one, so we have a smooth ending to this. But let me go first. So the first one for me, and probably the one that I keep coming back to, is being clear about your why. This is very important because fortunately or unfortunately, it doesn't matter as much, but we haven't seen the level of success we would love to see, which in a lot of cases I've seen puts back people. It gets them to stop, they give up, and it just takes me back to like their why probably wasn't strong enough. When we started this journey, we didn't our primary goal wasn't to make this the biggest podcast ever. Our biggest why, was having this conversation on a regular with each other, with other people, and build a community around it. And that conversation and exchange of energy was our primary goal, and we keep getting that in different ways, and it's changed our life in a lot of ways, just having access to that energy on a regular basis. So before you start, be strong on your why, be clear on your why, and make sure your why is something that is in your control. If you keep doing that, certainly it'll only help you stick around till longer, and success is only a matter of time. So first lesson, be absolutely clear on your why. Anas will go on for the second lesson.
yeah, I think for me, it was just the realization coming from you that there are about 70,000 thoughts in a day. It's a staggering amount. And I really resonate with this because all of my life, I've been sort of like a distracted person. And when I heard this, it really did make sense to me about having 70,000 thoughts in a day and about picking and choosing between those thoughts, like you always say as well, be an observer for some and then latch on to some which are important to you.
Yes, amazing. That's very interesting. And the crazy thing is that we're only aware of 5% of these thoughts. So this has been a constant theme on the podcast as well, that thoughts is what dictates your life. So learning to be aware of them and then using them to your advantage. So wow, I love that. Lesson number 3, be prepared for the unknown. You only know what you know, which, if you're wise enough, you will realize is only maybe 1% or 5% of it. So you can only plan for the things you know. On this journey, constantly, day in, day out, as you're growing, you'll come across things that you don't know. Things that are unfamiliar, you'll be confused, you'll be lost, but being prepared, meaning just be prepared that the unknown will come, It will disrupt you, it will shake your balance, but that's part of the journey, finding comfort in that discomfort. So always know that as you are growing and going into this unfamiliar territory, there will be discomfort and there will be times which are situations which are unknown to you and you wouldn't know what to do. But just be okay, breathe, and go through it. Eventually, just by flipping here and there, getting bruised a little bit, you will find your way. So be prepared for the unknown because it will come.
Yeah, this brings me to lesson number 4, which is keeping your policies. It's something which I have always done in my life, and I think having such policies about life, there can be many. There can be one to 99, and one to 150, or even one policy that is basically your anchor point. That basically, just anchors down and sets the rules of the game of your life.
Wow, amazing. We've talked about analysis policies a lot in episode one, which was fascinating to see as well. And I've started making my own policies since then. So that's truly amazing. And it connects beautifully to point number five, which is find your own voice. This is something I realized in my journey as well of starting this podcast and progressing through it. When you go out looking for more inspiration from other podcasters or whichever field it may be in, that influence can be detrimental to your own voice. It can add layers of things that are not true to you. So again, if you're very clear on your why, if you have your policies laid out and you keep revisiting them again and again, and you lead from a voice within, not from a voice that's coming from outside, that will take you far. It will be authentic. You'll build authority there, and people can very much see that. So always stick to your own voice, learn from other people, but use it in your own way and be true to yourself because that's the way it's most sustainable.
And ironically, this also connects to the point number 6 very, very nicely, which is something that you talked about in one of our initial episodes, and that is creating value for your friends. In that particular episode, you talked about how you brought all of your other friends as well to your, at that time, half marathon training. And look at where we are right now. You're probably training them for more than a marathon, especially me as well. And thanks to you, I also participated in my first marathon as well, took my first ice bath as well, and also went on this journey. So, and I would like to add one little tad bit over here as well. It's not it's not about creating value for your friends as well. It can be for anyone or anything that you're in contact with your life. I always say that my purpose in a person's life is to add value, not and just to add generally and not to take away anything from them.
And that's beautiful to see. And we, another constant theme throughout this podcast, when you add value in people around you and in that surrounding, that's what comes back to you when you see a reflection of yourself in them, right? And it keeps reminding you. It's just creating that energy that can remind you of yourself again and again. So when you start creating value for them, that's what comes back to you in return as well. Okay, point number seven. Some days are good, some days are bad. Nobody's perfect. You will have days where you doubt yourself. You will have days where oftentimes you see somebody doing better than you, or you don't get the kind of result you anticipated. Uh, but life is up and down. We see that graph. What goes up comes down, and that's the beauty of life. Finding peace in that disbalance is true wisdom, right? So just be aware that you will have good days and bad days, no matter where you are, what part of the journey you are in, and appreciate one for another because there is no light without darkness, and it's only darkness that gives meaning to light, right? So appreciate the good days and the bad days.
Love it. All right, this brings us to Roger Garcia, one of our first guest ever on the podcast, and the thing that he talked about, and something that I would like to tie in with what Parmeet said initially, is that fortunately, unfortunately, we haven't seen the success that we wanted to. But this is what Roger also said, that anything in his life that he did, whether it be an exam or anything, which he didn't find the outlined success, it was all about self accountability. It was all about looking inside, self reflecting, like why you couldn't achieve your goal, and then understanding, was it something that you could have done more, or was it something out of your control? But at the end of the day, everything ties down to self accountability.
That's amazing. And I think being self accountable and holding yourself responsible for everything is so powerful, because then you know things are in your control. If you keep blaming other people, then things are out of your control, and that in itself like takes things away from making that sort of progress and growth, because if it's not in your control, how can you make progress on it? So wow, I love this reflection. Point lesson number 9: don't compare. That's the thief of happiness. If you compare, doesn't matter if you're looking at someone below you or above you, it will either elevate your ego or give you a false sense of pride, which is very short lived, or it will make you feel inferior. And these are some things that we don't often talk about, and we may, because we don't talk about it, we may often think that we're the only person going through it. But time and time again, I listen to these great public figures, scientists, people leading in their field. I won't take specific names, but they talk about this. Like, one thing I would want to improve about myself is I don't want to compare. And I was blown away seeing that people at that highest level as well go through something as basic as this, which just goes to show comparison is a product of the mind, is a product of the ego. Ego will always try and compare itself to others to elevate itself, but that is again pleasure seeking. It's not, that happiness won't last long. Stick with your journey and don't compare, I would say.
Absolutely amazing. And I think, I don't know what is happening, but both of our points are complementing each other, because what I was about to say is that there's a lesson that I learned during our initial podcast days, and that was, that we're arrogant to think that we have tomorrow. And this came about when basically I got sick because of an infection, and that basically made me a little immobile for close to about a month. And that really basically drove this point inside my head, which is that I think, again, what you are also trying to say is that we don't need to compare and do all of these things which take away from us, because we really don't have the time. Like I said, we're arrogant to think that we have tomorrow. So whatever that needs to be done, whatever that needs to be said, whatever your dreams are, just go out and do. Don't focus on the external things. Take inspiration, like we've always said, but always remember that you do not have tomorrow. Time is fleeting. It's like gold dust. Use whatever you have, and keep taking, instead of draining your energy and draining your thoughts.
That's beautiful. And my mom follows Sikhism, and in Sikhism, there's plenty of sayings, but there's one that's always stuck by me, and it goes "Kal kare so aaj kare so ab," which translates into, instead of doing it tomorrow, do it today, and instead of doing it today, do it now, which fits in perfectly with this. Okay, amazing. Lesson number 11: everything is on time. Just believing that, truly, because I think factually it is, but we tend to confuse ourselves and distract ourselves and look at other people and make comparisons and feel sorry about ourselves or whatnot. If you just believe everything is on time, you'll find peace in that. Nothing comes before time, nothing comes after time. If you're not succeeding, if you're failing, that's a lesson. Only by failing you will learn those lessons to then achieve a level of success that is sustainable. God or whatever the higher power is doesn't want you to have an overnight success or win a lottery and win that kind of money or whatever it may be that you can't sustain, right? So everything is on time. Whatever you're going through is, you're meant to go through that. You're destined to go through that to reach where you're supposed to reach. And when you reach to that place, you'll have the most profound realization that everything that unfolded up until now was supposed to go the way it went, and you'll feel gratitude towards it.
It's crazy, right? I mean, just speaking about our journey as well, and especially mine, I've already talked to you about it, about my professional career as well. It's just insane, guys. This is absolutely true, 100%. It's just a game of patience. So the power of experiences on friendship. I think this is something we talked about when we were talking to Kika, and it's something beautiful. I think you would also 100% agree now that if a friendship goes through and struggles, it just becomes something else, you know. There's a hormone, I forgot the name, I'm gonna butcher it, I'm not even gonna take the name, but there's a hormone that releases when a relationship, be it a friendship or any sort of
Oxytocin.
relationship. Yes, 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 yes. It's just a binding hormone that basically binds. I don't know how it works biologically, but it just binds you to that person. And having experiences with your friends, or like I said, any other relationship, it just takes it to a whole new other level. So go out with your friends, try to do as crazy things as possible, as riskiest things as possible, of course, while being safe, and just elevate, and keep elevating your relationships.
Ah, amazing. Uh, 100%, like association in Hinduism and Buddhism, they talk about this a lot. Association, the people you associate to and you surround yourself with, is the biggest thing that has the most amount of influence over you. The energy that transfers from that level of association is not within your conscious control or within your conscious mind. On a subconscious level, it changes everything. So yeah, the people you associate with, the people you hang out with, will do make a tremendous difference. And doing it in the right way, then that both of you will sort of like grow together and form that deeper connection. Okay, amazing. Lesson number 13: focus on systems over goals. Alex Hermosi says this, that you fall to the level of your systems, not to the level of your goals. You can set as high of a goal as you can. Doesn't mean you're going to reach it, but systems are what your baseline is, what you keep falling back on. So every time you keep falling back and you have those systems in place to keep moving you forward again and again, eventually you will reach your goals. So focus on building systems that are efficient, that are meant to guide you to the direction of your goals. uh, and eventually you will reach those goals. Just having that clarity and then working on building those systems instead of just constantly focusing on a goal, because that puts you in the mindset that you don't have it. It puts you in the mindset of scarcity, of not having a certain things instead of abundance. Uh, so yeah, build systems over goals.
Ramit, I think we've found it. I always used to think how people are successful, how do they achieve the things that they do, and we were recently talking about this during our internal meeting as well. It has always been systems. My personal anecdote: I'm a manager. I'm responsible for around 9 people, and I've seen it firsthand. If there are no systems in place, then the whole thing falls apart. It's a waste of time, repetitive task, no future planning, no vision, and you don't achieve the goal as per quality. And I think this is something for Wiser as well, that we keep talking about. We do have a system, but sometimes it's also the discipline of following that system as well. So yeah, you might come up with the most elaborate plan, elaborate framework, but again, you also need to have that discipline. This is where discipline actually comes in, doing the thing that you set out at that particular deadline and doing it properly. So guys, I personally think, I'm just taking a minute to reiterate this point, but I 150% absolutely. This is it. If you have a system for life, for work, etc., etc., even your relationships and everything, it will work out. It will work out. All right, so coming to the next point, and which is again, which ties in very, very nicely, which is something that Parmeet also said, which is true happiness lies in hard work. And this is also it. You take all of the top actors, scientists, etc., athletes, entrepreneurs, etc., etc. It's just their happiness is in hard work. They truly love working hard. You know, whenever you talk to them, their whole demeanor, their whole body language is just about, I love doing this. I love what I do. And that is why they're able to do this week on week, day on day, year on year, month on month without fail and with just a smile on their face. One nuance to this is that they also don't think that it's a job, but they rather take that as a career. So it's very important that you find a career, but rather than a job. A job is something that you can be doing. You know, you can be a sweeper at McDonald's or a burger flipper at Burger King, but a career is something that is with you for life. So I think that's why they enjoy the hard work. So just a little bit of nuance.
Amazing. Lesson number 15, consistency is key. Albert Einstein said, the power of compound, those who understand it earn from it, and those who, he said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it earn from it, and those who don't understand it pays it, right? Small efforts every day. It doesn't matter how big of an effort it is, as long as you put in, as long as you take that first step every day, after 365 days, it'll add up to be so much more. Be it going to the gym for 5 minutes, doing one extra rep, picking up the book and reading one book, waking up 5 minutes earlier, anything. As James Clear also talks about it in his book called Atomic Habits, which is basically this, just doing that little extra bit consistently over time will amount to so much more. If you're not aware of compound interest, go on Google, find a calculator. If you put in, let's say, $5,000 and you're putting in every month $100, you'll probably be a millionaire in I don't know how many years, but you can check this out. And that's the power of the compound interest. The money or whatever, the effort, the hard work, it just amplifies and amplifies. The growth is exponential, right? So that's point lesson number 15.
Bro, there's no way that we didn't coordinate this because the next point is just insane. Is something that Ashna said, which is finding happiness is work every day. And again, it ties in very nicely with the whole compound thing. And by the way, we're going to add the graph as well so that you guys can also have that visualization. But yeah, it's what Ashna said as well. You know, every day, just try to do those little things, you know, self love, gratitude, meditation, working out, eating the right things, consuming the right information. And, you know, you will, I mean, happiness is a state of mind as well. Like, we've always talked about, but again, just being happy is work every day. It, especially in this day and age, it does take effort, but absolutely right, you know. And if you do this, like Pami said, the power of compound kicks in. You know, you'll be happy, but you will be happier uh, when weeks and months and years go by. So this is something absolutely we've also seen with our lives as well throughout this journey from Wiser Together as well, and all the things that we've learned.
Certainly. And this one sentence really helped me understand this so perfectly, which was, happiness not is not a destination, it's a direction. It's not something you arrive at. It's something you choose to do every day, right? It takes effort, it takes work every day. The days I don't meditate and don't put in that self love, I see how days are different from it. So your destination where you arrive may not be in your control, but your direction is in your control every day, and so is happiness. Uh, so yeah, choose the right direction, and you'll get to the right destination eventually. Okay, amazing. Lesson number 17. Be curious. I think this is so important, and people don't really understand the importance of this to the level they should. Any sort of creator, inventor, leader who's changed the world, they have this level of curiosity to find out, to figure out, to do things in newer, better, different ways than they have been before. They have the courage, the inner drive to challenge the status quo. And out of 100 people doing the same thing, just one person think, oh, why are they doing it this way? Like, is there a different way that this would be done? That one person who's led by that curiosity within, that, oh, there can be a different, better, or just a different way of doing this, will take you to places you unknown places unknown places, and those unknown places always help you grow. So yeah, be
Absolutely.
curious.
And when you're curious and when you're practicing all of these things that we've talked about, you will be a little unorthodox. You will be a little different from the society. And this is where my good friend Parmeet Kumar also said that while you're doing all of these things, don't let the crabs bring you down. All right. So there's an amazing analogy that Parmeet talked about, and he said that there's a bucket and it is filled with crabs, and if one crab is just trying to get away from that bucket, just to think of bucket like your life right now, and you just trying to break away from the conventional life and trying to do something good for yourself. There are going to be crabs that are trying to, like they will grab on your tiny little crab leg and will try to pull you down. So don't let them pull you down. Keep trying to climb outside of the bucket. And I would just like to add one more thing that my boss also told me, is that in an organization or a company, or while you're working with people, don't pull them down, but rather push them up. If you have a boss, or if you have anyone who is at a senior position than you, or let's say who's doing better than you in life, try to push them up, right? Try to take their place. And while you're doing that, they will also try to do the same thing with the people above them. So instead of like like us having society where everyone is trying to pull everyone down, you end up with a society where everyone is trying to replace them, but in an upward trajectory.
So lesson number 21: be, do, have instead of have, do, be. This simple shift, a flip of mindset, can help you achieve so many things in life. Traditionally, or in our society, people want to have certain things so that they can do a certain things in order to become what they want to become. But instead of that, if you just embody that persona, that personality, and just be that person and do those things, eventually you will have what you want. So instead of having something so you can do something to become something, be that person and do those things, and you will have what you want to achieve in life. Lesson number 22, on to you.
All right. And that's a very simple one, which is we suffer more in imagination than reality. It's just a very simple, profound thing that we keep talking about. And it's very important because you need to understand this so that, however you want to lead life, you have this thing in your head that whatever you're thinking, it's probably not true, will probably never come to fruition, and it's a waste of time and energy.
That's beautiful, and just that sentence and that saying has been instrumental to so many areas of my life. So thank you for sharing, Anas. Okay, lesson number 23. It takes time. I don't know what's wrong with us, including me. When you see someone successful or doing someone great, and you see the tip of that iceberg, you see them in that flashlight. You haven't been through the 99, you haven't seen the 99% of the other times where they were suffering. It took them years and years of hard work, being alone, crying, going through so much to get to that 1%. And you see that 1%, you see that in their flashlight at the top of the mountain and you think, oh, overnight success. Moksha, a really good friend of ours, talks about this as well. Bamboo growth, uh, everything substantial takes time. When you oftentimes look at other person who's achieved something and compare your journey to them and you only see the tip of the iceberg, just remember you're only seeing 1% and you're missing out on the 99%, all the hard times, the hard work they've put in to get there. So everything is on time and it takes time to do something substantial because it's not about what you achieve on the outside, but it's about how you transform yourself within to become a person who can achieve those things on the outside. So yeah, it takes time. That's lesson number 23.
Yes, sir. And adding another nugget from you, which is having that 1 second decision making ability. And that really, again, it takes time to develop. We've talked about that. You don't only have this physical muscles inside of you in your body. You also have those mental muscles that you need to constantly practice, flex, and train. And one of them being this 1 second decision. A lot of people also have different ones. Like what I have heard about 1 second from you. I've also heard about 3 seconds and 5 seconds. But the whole idea is that you don't let your brain talk you into not doing things, and you just quickly have that paradigm shift of making that 1 second decision that, all right, I'm going to go to the gym. All right, I'm going to eat this. All right, I'm not going to eat this. All right, I'm not going to go out. All right, I'm going to study. So just having that conversation to yourself, you might think of it like instructing your brain or dictating your brain, but having your 1, 3, or 5 second decision making muscle is very, very important.
100%. Just being more action oriented than thinking oriented, being on the front foot than being on the back foot. The more you think, the further away you go from taking action. So just act and see where you go. Either you'll succeed or you'll learn, which comes perfectly to point number 25, which is make mistakes. We're so afraid of making mistakes. We want to do everything so perfectly, but you don't learn there. I always have this sort of mindset that, oh, I'm doing something new, I'm doing it to do it wrong. I'm not doing it to do it right, I'm doing it to do it wrong. If you're just doing something to do it wrong instantly, there is no pressure because the worst is what the expectation is. So any sort of good that you accomplish there is an added benefit and it gets you motivated more. But if you're going in to do something new and do it perfectly, you'll be disappointed. So be kind to yourself and just allow yourself to make mistakes. Everybody does. You only see the mistakes they don't make. LeBron James, all of these big athletes, Steve Harvey, they talk about it. I have hundreds of ideas, but only five of them were hits. What do they talk about? The hits Steve Harvey had, right? Even LeBron James or Roger Federer talk about this as well. Out of all the winning points he had, only he only won 54% of the shots or serves or whatever. Only 54%, and he lost 46% of them. The best player in the world, Roger Federer. So it's crazy how we want to do everything so perfectly, and when it doesn't go perfectly, we are so harsh on ourselves. Go out there and make mistakes, as many mistakes as you can. That's basically your experience.
And yeah, one of those mistakes will turn out to be your break, and then like you will be in the one in the flashlight, right? And again, this also ties in perfectly to point to the next point. I've
26. Lesson number
all right,
26.
26, right? And it's just about accepting yourself, self acceptance. This came from Sadia in one of our also early part of our podcast, but also recently from Avi as well. And it's just about breaking your chains. It's just about really 100% presenting yourself to the society, but most importantly to yourself as well. Oftentimes I've seen as well, I've done it as well. And like you can read it along the lines that when you know that a person is not being themselves, they're trying to be someone apart from them. And again, this is something that you also mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, which is just having your own voice. So once you truly accept yourself and you're like, all right, this is who I am, this is what I like, this is how I dress, this is how I talk, this is me, and it just really breaks away your chains. And then you truly, truly have that confidence, which is newfound, which is something you can't buy, you can't work towards. It's just something so internal, so raw, so primal, that can only come when you accept yourself truly.
That takes me to lesson number 27, which is fail more than you succeed. Success will never teach you as much as failure. That's every time you fail, you're collecting evidence, you're collecting experience, you're collecting data on yourself, on the, it's like trying out all the ways that thing won't work to arrive to a point where it will, right? So if you just get success in the first time around, you won't learn to value it. The more times you fail, the more you learn to value the success, and the more experience you have to get there. So fail more than you succeed. That's lesson number 27. On to you for
All
lesson number
right, 28 comes from Mr. Daniel Ahmed. He also joined us for one of the podcasts, and he talked about having an edge. Doing anything in life, you need to have an edge. Smart work is the way to go. Hard work, anyone can do, right? But whatever you're doing in life, you need to be smart. You need to be able to create that edge. The edge only comes from the thing that we talked about, which is hard work, which is having that self confidence. Because when you have these things in your arsenal, edges automatically start working. What is an edge? An edge is just a leverage or an advantage point that you may have over your competition, and that only comes when you're able to attract and create that environment through hard work, through being yourself, through being genuine, and by just adding value to people's life.
100%. And I think it's like just using your gift. Everybody has some level of ability that is way better than other people. So just finding that and recognizing that and using that, leveraging that to your advantage will give you that edge to sort of get to where you want to go. Okay, amazing. Lesson number 29, self belief is key. Doesn't matter how talented you are, what sort of resources you have, how much money you have, what kind of support you have. You put everything on one side and you put self belief on one side, that overpowers everything. Doesn't even matter how much action you take, no amount of action will override a belief. If you don't have that self belief, if you don't believe you will make it, no matter what you do in life, even if God came and put it in your lap, you won't accept it, right? Because you don't believe you deserve to be there, right? So seeing it here before it manifests itself in reality is the absolute key. Learn to see it here and see it intentionally every day. Eventually, you'll attract it in your reality as well. So, do something you actually like, really, really believe in. On to you for lesson number 30.
Yes, sir. So this one is very special because this one brought in our most watched views on our shorts, and it came from Mr. Hamad Motiwala, and this was that money cannot buy happiness. It's a very simple, age-old concept, but I think people really resonate with it because we always talk about, and Parmeet, again, you've always talked about this to me as well, and I think even before starting the podcast, you asked when I used to make my own YouTube videos, you asked me, Anas, why are you doing this? And again, this comes back to the why. And when I gave you my reason, and you told me that I'm very happy that you're not doing it for the monetary reason, right? And this is it, guys, because I think both what Parmeet and I have learned, and again, we've yet to taste success in terms of monetary benefits, but the thing is that monetary reasons for us are like the low hanging fruit, where we're trying to go, what we're trying to do, the dent that we want to make on this world in terms of the value. Money is like a money, fame, popularity, etc., will be like low hanging fruits. And again, might just as well tie this to the C goals. Having those unrealistic, those C type goals really bring those monetary things as low hanging fruits. And this is again what Hamad Motiwala said, that money cannot buy happiness, and that is true.
Yes. As they say, don't run after money. Like don't chase success, chase excellence, chase enablement, empowerment. Success will just follow you, right? You don't achieve happiness by chasing happiness. You don't achieve comfort by chasing comfort. You don't achieve success by chasing success, right? Most things in life are counterintuitive, right? So, yeah, I guess do the opposite. Okay, lesson number 31, step by step. This has been instrumental to my journey with my athletic pursuits, with podcasting, with whatever I've been trying to do. If I'm standing at the base camp of the Everest and I look at the tip, summit of the mountain, what's in front of me is unfathomable. I can't comprehend it. I can't even possibly think in my own head how I'm going to climb there. But how is not your domain, right? As long as you see yourself at the finish line, that's all you need to know. How, you will figure out. Just focus on the next step. You might not know how your journey is going to go and how you'll end up there, but you always, if you find your voice, if you have clarity on your why, you will know your next step and just focus on that very next step. Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backward. Someone as Steve Jobs, even he didn't know how he will make the iPhone or Apple to where it is now, but he's only able to tell it once he summited that mountain, then he's able to track back and connect the dots backward. So don't try and know everything because you wouldn't, right? That's why you're going into the unknown. Just focus on the next step, and before you know it, you'll be at the summit of the mountain.
Yes, sir. So, and this is something very important that we need to understand in order to do anything, whether it being successful, happy, whatever it is in life you want to do, you need to be soft on others, but hard on yourself. And this is again a very stoic concept. I've personally lived by this my entire life because I've never been that person who's nagging, complaining, etc., etc. I have always been that person, and this has worked with for me so well in life. And that is, I put everything on me. Um, so much often in life we try to be dependent on others, and we try to look to others for things to get done, etc., etc. But if you look at it, the base principle, everything that you need in life or everything that you want in life to be done, it must always come from you. And you should be the one always hard on yourself, and not to be putting or projecting things on others, right? Others will do whatever they're supposed to do because they also have a life and path to go on and live. However, the things that you want it. For example, the goals that I have are going to be very, yeah, both Parmeet and I will have our mutual goals, but I will also have my personal goals. Now, Parmeet is not going to have, and it's very hard and it's be very unfair for me to expect him to have the same amount of interest, passion for the goals that I have. Vice versa with me as well, right? So, in anything in life, be it at your work, be it with your friends, your relationship, anything at all, right? Whatever you want to achieve, whatever it is that you want to do, you need to be hard on yourself, and again, be self accountable.
Amazing. Lesson number 33, standardization comes before optimization. When you're starting something new, let's say you want to have a productive life, you want to start building a productive life tomorrow. Can't be like, I'm going to wake up early, then I'm going to practice gratitude, I'll meditate, I'll go to the gym. Don't try and optimize a certain habit or a certain things until it's become a standard. Make it a habit first, make it a standard, do it wrong, but just get in the habit of doing it, right? Do it wrong, but just get in the habit of doing it. Once you're in the habit of doing it and it's become a standard, then optimize and go from wrong do right. Don't try and do it right the first time around. Do it wrong, get in the habit of doing it wrong, and then do it right. So, standardization comes before optimization. That is the only way it's going to be sustainable. On to you for lesson number 35.
Lesson number 35 is brought to you by Mr. Anirudh. And Anirudh told us that whatever it is something that you need to do in life, you have to be obsessed about it. There is no half assing it, there's no half footing it. You need to go all in, and you need to know why you want it, and you need to want it bad, basically. And I think this is something, again, that has been a common theme in regards to the athletes or the personalities that we've discussed. Everyone was obsessed about it. Everyone was, just like you said, curious, hardworking, involved, passion. Everything was involved inside of it. So this is something, yeah, I see that it's still very, very quite relevant and still will be.
Amazing. Lesson number 30. I can't even remember what, 35 or 36. But
Yeah, I
action.
think we'll just add some numbers or something.
Yeah, we'll add the text. But anyway, actions over thoughts. Uh, every human has a mind, I hope, a brain, and the nature of the mind is to have thoughts and to occupy you. Every time it's occupying you, you're either living in the past or the future. It's the thief of the present moment where happiness and everything you want to achieve lies. Focus more on being action, taking action. If any action doesn't have severe consequences that will stick by you for the rest of your life, keep taking actions, make mistakes more and more. Don't try and think so much and make it perfect and do it right or whatnot. It's going to go wrong anyway, right? So keep taking action without much thinking and reflect on that actual experience rather than just thinking of that experience.
Absolutely, and this brings us to the next lesson, which is brought
36.
to, yeah, is brought to us by Mr. Umar Jahangir, where he says that it's better to try and fail, and we've been talking about this in life. If we try something, of course, you are going to fail. Of course, failure is expected. We should always start a thing by thinking that we might fail, but we would never know if we don't try. So that's the most important thing. It's better to try and fail than not trying at all.
Amazing. Lesson number 37, manipulate your environment. This I credit myself very well. I think I've been able to do this very well. Wiser Together is this podcast as well as a manifestation of this very point that we're mentioning. Manipulate your environment. If I can manipulate my environment and have certain energy that keeps me accountable again and again, if Wiser Together wasn't there, I wouldn't be brought back to this energy time and time and again. And we might not have achieved what we want with this podcast, but certainly in our lives, it's done us so many good. We've grown so much outside of this that the value has been tremendous. So manipulate your environment in a way that brings you back, reminds you of the energy and the things that you want to be reminded of. This can be as simple as putting a paper in front of the on a wall somewhere or where you work or in your on your bathroom mirror, or having certain, like this podcast, no matter how I'm feeling or what I'm going through, we have to show up, talk about these things, and then that brings me back to this energy and again. So manipulate your environment in a way that brings you back to where you want to come back to.
I'm just going to take a minute and talk about how important this has been for me as well, ever since moving to Dubai. And why I'm talking about this is that because back in Pakistan, I'll share my own personal experience. I come from Pakistan, Karachi. We did not used to have water, light, gas, etc., etc. You guys have no idea how detrimental that was. Even to my friends right now living in Pakistan, when you have this pressure, when you have this tense energy that, oh, you're not going to have electricity in the next 2 hours or 4 hours from your 24 hours, it just really brings you down. So having a very an environment that is suited to your growth, And I'm not talking about having the most fanciest things in life, fanciest laptop or workstation, or like I don't know. I mean, like, it's just sometimes it's just about having those basic things, right? You need to have a basic environment, a basic setup, a very productive, it just adds to your productivity, basically, is what I'm trying to say. When those things add up, they really do. At the same time, when you don't have those little its and bits and pieces of things, they take away from you. And again, at the same time, it may not seem very significant on the surface, but if we bring in the concept of compound interest or compound adding up, then they just really keep adding up. So definitely manipulating your environment, having this podcast, feeding off each other's energy, feeding off the energy of our guests, those ideas and everything that we're sharing. It has been insanely valuable, and I think the credit goes to you, Prameet. Of course, you're the one. This is your baby, and you're the one that came up with this idea. And I cannot be more thankful for the values that you've added to my life as well. And now I'm gonna come to the next point, which is that this is something Mr. Jordan Peterson talked about, and that is in life. You know, life is one thing that you're committed till death, and it's just such a profound concept because you're going to die. Everyone is going to die, and life is a commitment. It's a sign up that you've done, and you can't get out of it until you die. So that's just something everyone needs to understand, that everyone is going to die. Nothing that we say, do, that you think should matter in a wrong way would matter in about 100 years. Alex Hormozy talks about this, because in about 100 years those people will die as well. So go out, do the things that you have to do. It's a commitment that you've already done. You can't back out of it, so might as well make the most out of life.
Amazing. Which brings me back to lesson number 39, which is chase discomfort, chase hard, chase unfamiliar. Only by going into the unfamiliar, unknown, things you don't know, being blindsided, being a learner, being a child, will you actually learn and grow. You don't grow in staying in your comfort zone. You only grow by challenging your limitations, going into the unknown, and resisting and finding your comfort in that discomfort. That is real growth. When you step outside it, your comfort zone grows as well. What was uncomfortable tomorrow is comfortable today. And you can look at so many things in life that you've done which were uncomfortable tomorrow are comfortable today. So similarly, what's uncomfortable today will be uncomfortable tomorrow. So just go with that idea and keep following that to grow tremendously. On to you, Anas.
All right, Mr. Jules talked about in one of our podcasts, he talked about the importance of breathing. As we all know that he is a Wim Hof certified instructor, and he basically gave us a very good nugget, and that was that, look, we can survive without eating and drinking, but it's very hard to go more than 5 minutes or 4 minutes without breathing, right? And that really shows you how important breathing is, just a little bit of realization. And that's because we always take breathing for granted because it's very subconscious. Most of the time, when you're breathing, it's very subconscious. Even right now, we're 53 minutes into the podcast, but I haven't taken a breath cautiously, right? Because it's just something that we do. What he said is that we need to convert our subconscious breathing into functional or conscious breathing. And that's something Parmeet advocates also most of the time as well in our meditation series as well, and that has to do with the breathing meditation. So just converting your subconscious breathing into functional breathing has insane amount of benefit. I won't go into the detail, but of course you can check out our Wim Hof episodes. There are a couple of them. Also check out Wim Hof's breathing method as well to understand all the benefits.
100%. Breathing is so critical, important. It's a superpower again, like meditation. It's a gateway to presence. It's a gateway to your own physiology and understanding your body. Again, we won't go into the detail, but I wish we could. But there's so many breathing techniques and ways that you can look into that will benefit you. Okay, moving on. Always learning. I feel like the day you stop learning, the day you stop being a student of life, you're contaminating yourself with the ideas and the beliefs and the things you already have. It puts you in a box. and it you get rusty, poison. You know how still water gets contaminated? Similarly, our bodies, our minds, when they are not growing, they're not learning, you start contaminating yourself with those limiting beliefs. So always challenge yourself, always keep learning, always be a student to life. You can never know everything. So keep learning and growing. Moving on to you.
Yeah, all right. And this is something that both you and I were very lucky to attend in person in Dubai, which was a convention held by Sadhguru. And there's a very amazing nugget that he gave us, and that after listening to that, I've always practiced this s- up until here now, and which is that when human beings grow up, when we become adults, we start wearing misery on our face. We let life, like you said, contaminate us, our pureness, our energy, our happiness. And you know it's so sad because we've always wanted to grow up, we've always wanted this, and as we and look, life is hard, but that doesn't mean that you cannot wear happiness or a smile on your face versus misery. Having misery or sadness or stress on your face isn't going to do good for anyone or anything that you're in contact with. So your problems are still going to be there, your problems are not going to go away, but you can take them on with a smile, with a sense of happiness, with a sense of optimism. And ever since, it's been 7 months or 6 months since we've attended that, and I've always started practicing this every day, at job, at work, with you, with my family, with everyone, just taking the world on with a smile.
And that makes a huge difference, as we all know. Okay, moving on. Count your blessings, not your curses. We all have positives and negatives in our life, but what you focus on shifts, dictates your perception of your own life. If you always focus on the void and the things you don't have, the grass is never on greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it the most. So if you're always watering your neighbor's grass and you're seeing that flourish, you'll always be left with the feeling that my grass, I don't have anything. My neighbor has everything. But you're always watering your neighbor's grass with your thoughts, right? If you focus your thoughts on the blessings you have, be grateful for what you have, life will give you more and more and more. And this is certainly a muscle, a practice that you can keep training on, doing more and more. Okay, moving on.
All right, this one is brought to you by Mr. Rami, and he just simply says, today is the youngest you will ever be. And we know about Rami. He used to have cancer, and may he live a healthy life. He's doing amazing things, and we're just so grateful, both Parmeet and I, that he came onto our podcast as well. Such a humble personality, and this is something that he believes in, and we can see, you can check out his Instagram profile, his YouTube, his socials, that he lives by this. He understands that today is going to be the youngest that we will ever be. Today is the day we'll have the most amount of energy, youthfulness, exuberance, and he's capitalizing this, and this is something that both you and I have also been doing. But I think the world also needs to understand this concept.
Amazing, for sure. Once you realize it, it's like wow, a crazy eureka moment. Anyway, moving on. Be kind to yourself. The most important voice you're gonna hear in this world is your own. You gotta be your own best friend. You gotta be your own biggest supporter. If you're always criticizing yourself in the wrong way, having the negative self talk, talking yourself in a wrong way, not being kind to yourself, you won't get very far. You gotta be your biggest supporter. Be kind to yourself. Understand that you're putting in the hard work, you're putting in the effort, you're trying out different ways, and everything is part of the process.
Yeah, just adding to it, comes from a very unconventional guy, Terrence Howard. He says that I'm my best friend and my biggest enemy. So you just have to be very conscious about that. And like when we said, just love yourself is very important. So the next point comes from Mr. Ali Zakaria, and he just hits home with this. He's a fan favorite from all of our podcasts, and he says that. being the right partner attracts the right partner. And I couldn't agree this more than 100%, because most of our like friends, especially listening, they're all in this age of finding the right partner. And he just says that, look, if you want a certain partner, if you have an idea of a certain partner to be spending the rest of your life with you, you need to become that person. And he gives an example of physical fitness, that, if I want a fit uh, wife, for example, he's a male, right? So if I want a fit wife, I can't expect to have one while I'm just sitting and eating McDonald's every day. So just being the thing that you want will attract the thing that you need. So
For sure. In all areas of life, not just your partner, but everything else as well, being that before. Uh, yeah, moving on. This one was a hard one to really learn. We learned it the hard way, which is find a mentor. I think just having someone guiding you along that unknown, unfamiliar route, it's really instrumental to your growth and to your journey. So, finding a mentor uh, will really accelerate your rate of progression by tenfold. So, yeah,
all right. The next one is, and this one is from Khushi Andani, where she says that, life will keep on testing you. And again, I think she took inspiration from Rocky Balboa. It's about, life will keep on hitting you, and it's a matter of how much you can take and keep moving forward. So just keep letting life do what it does, but you need to have the courage, the heart, to keep taking those things and moving forward, because that's where winning is.
amazing. Choosing me to point number 47, which is we all start somewhere. The person that you look up to, your biggest inspiration, 10 years, 15, 20 years ago, they had their first day. That's when they took their first step, and they were exactly in the position that you are in today, right? And 10, 15 years from now, when you become the person that you want to be and you inspire the next person, they will be in exactly the position that you are today, right? So we all start somewhere. Nobody comes into this world being an expert. They all start where you started. The person that you're looking up to at some point was exactly in the position you are today, and look where they are now. This could be you in the next 15, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever it may be. So just be kind to yourself and know we all start somewhere, everybody, and just take that leap of faith and start.
All right, so I think this is something we recently got to hear, and this is from Mr. Avi. And I think I love the way that he talked to us about his coming out story, and the moment that he talked about regarding informing his parents that he was gay. And the parents' reaction really blew me away, because of course the parents do understand, the parents know, because they're the ones who've given us life, and they would always know what we're up to, who we are, and why we're doing the thing that we're doing. But the most important thing was the reaction, how accepting and how neutral they made this such a huge thing that Avi had in his head. Because I'm sure the way that Avi was talking about, the way that Avi was thinking was like, like a nuclear grade reaction. But then his parents were able to just bring it down and neutralize it.
Yes.
So, like whatever we're thinking in our head, this feeling also, it has a name, it's called dread. It's that feeling that we may have when a result is about to come out, etc., etc. There's this
Make
anticipation,
up
this.
stories.
Absolutely, it's called dread. So, guys, don't suffer in dread. Just put the bandage out, because you never know. Whatever. Again, we talk about this. We're suffering more in imagination, and it might not be the same thing. It might be very chill.
Amazing. Which brings us to the last 2 points, which I think, like we mentioned, we had a discussion over, and is a great conclusion to this very insightful and valuable episode, which is pivot often. It relates to everything that we've said before. As you take more and more actions and fail and find out different ways of doing things, don't attach yourself to certain thing, and if you found comfort in doing certain thing a certain way, you'll be inclined to do it in that manner, because then again going down that unfamiliar territory is uncomfortable, right? But that's where real growth is, like you mentioned. So keep pivoting often, trying out new things. Even if you found the best case scenario, there's a better case, there's a better way of doing everything that you're doing. You can never reach perfection. Perfection is just a phenomenon that exists in time. What's perfect today will be basic tomorrow, right? And we've seen that in a lot of ways. So keep pivoting, uh, and yeah, on to you.
All right, and I think from my end, the last point is upholding your commitments. I feel like nowadays it's very easy to not hold your end of the bargain. It's very easy to give up. It's very easy to quit. It's very easy to just bring up the white flag. However, it's very hard to uphold your commitment. It's very hard to stay in the game. It's very hard to keep finding a way, right? If you have ever made a commitment in your life to anyone or to anything, make sure that you stay in the game. Make sure that you keep pivoting, like Parmeet said. Make sure you keep finding way, flow like water, because there might be an easier, better, quicker route that you might not see at the moment. But if you stay long enough in the game, you will keep finding a way through hard work, by being curious, by educating yourself, and again having this idea that if I have committed myself to one thing, I will see it through. Now that doesn't really mean that like you have to slave away at a certain idea or a certain way. Be smart about it, keep educating yourself, talk to each other, and eventually you will find a way. But the idea is to uphold your commitment.
Amazing. And that's a perfect ending. Nothing's perfect, like we said, but a good ending to this episode, and 50 episodes of Wiser together.
God
Again,
damn.
reflecting on this, yeah, it's truly, what can I say? There's just so much gratitude, and I'm looking back. Like when we started this, I could never imagine how life's been and how everything's unfolded. So truly amazing. And on that note, we will also pivot. We want to do things better. We want to do things differently. We want to record more in person. Uh, and there's so many things that are in the works, and from moving forward, we can't wait for you guys to see this in a better light, in a newer light, and reflecting on all these points and lessons and how we overcome them and come out of it. So you'll be seeing a lot of that in the next episodes. uh, do you have anything to add on us?
Yeah, I think like what Parmeet said, what we're trying to do now is basically come up with better ways to improve quality. We feel like, yes, having this digital recording sessions is amazing, but when I think both Parmeet, when he came to Dubai, we were able to shoot around 4 to 5 different podcasts in person, and we saw that the energy level that we have in person, the interaction that we have, is just truly something different. Like Parmeet mentioned, that when we started this, it was more about, we like to term it as a selfish love sort of a thing, that we wanted to do it for ourselves. And yeah, it has both for both Parmeet and I in our lives, it has just been truly instrumental. However, like we talked about, you always need to keep on pivoting. You always need to keep on finding new and better ways. And this is something that Parmeet has hinted towards. And moving forward in the next episode that you will see, you can expect more in-person interviews live from Sydney, live from Dubai, or wherever we are in the world. And that's just going to be, and that's only now we're shifting more towards like for the consumer perspective, because we really think that we have a great product. We really think that Wiser community can like can add so much value into the world, and our focus now will be more towards quality.
100%. And in the end, I can't, we can't express enough gratitude towards you guys, everybody who's been a part of this, who's been watching this, supporting it in small ways or big ways, knowingly or unknowingly. Your investment, your to this energy and towards this purpose and what we're trying to do is something that we hold in very high regard, something that means a lot to us, and something that truly keeps us going. Whenever we hear from someone that, oh, I watched this episode or I watched this clip or I did this and it changed my life in this way, you can never comprehend or fathom uh, the unimaginable ways or the extent to which a certain energy can benefit a certain people. I have a friend who Ashana, who's been on this podcast, episode 6 or 7, I can't remember. And she was telling me the other day, I'll just end with this little story that, when you used to put those stories early morning on Instagram of just being grateful and waking up 6 in the morning, she was like, that got me to join a yoga class so I can wake up early as well. And just seeing those stories, I started waking up early and going for yoga. Surprisingly enough, a week later, her brother is like, oh, you're going for this yoga class early in the morning, I also want to join you. So you can never imagine your good deeds, the energy that you put out there, how it affects the other person and the person after that, negatively or positively. So just have that faith that energy is contagious and it has the power to change worlds in different ways. Who's to know what that person, how that person will empower, influence his friends, and how that energy will keep flowing, right? Energy never dies, it keeps on flowing, negative or positive. So on that note, thank you so much. We're so grateful for you. We appreciate you. We love you. And yeah, together we're going to create and amplify this energy as much as we can. Keep supporting us, keep watching us. If you have any feedback, please let us know. And we will see you next Sunday in episode 51. Thank you so much.
Ciao, guys.